My aunt went to her ex-boyfriend's wedding. My youngest aunt from my mom's side is a disappointment from the family. Like, even my parents tell me not to become like her. My maternal grandmother hates her, but she's the kind of woman I want to be when I grow up. My aunt is in her mid-30s now. She has a lot of tattoos and piercings, dyed hair, and played the drums. She is a bartender in a pub and she loves her job. But the reason no one talks about her in the family is because she's lesbian and she lives with her lover. So last year, after a bad mental breakdown, I begged my dad to take me to her place. I had dropped out of my final examination and I was in pretty bad condition. That's when she told me the story. So before she was dating her now girlfriend, she was dating this guy who she dreamt of spending her whole life with, only to find out he slept with his coworker. After a year of their breakup, the homewrecker comes to my aunt and gives her a wedding invitation and rubbing it into her face that she was pregnant. Well, the catch is, my aunt said gleefully that her ex was infertile. Him and my aunt had been trying to have the baby to no avail, and hence they went to a doctor. And the test results were sent to her. So her ex didn't know he was infertile. She said she didn't tell him out of spite, but boy did it play out good for her. Her ex was Christian, so they did not have a typical Hindu wedding, but the ones they show in English movies. My aunt talked to her ex's brother and convinced him to play a part in her revenge. The brother was up for it apparently. So at the reception, there are this walk down the memory lane kind of event where they show pictures of the couple. So after a few cute pictures, a picture of the homewrecker with another man kissing pops up. And then another, and as the bride was in a frenzy, the test result shows up on the screen and the slide stops. A written note saying that the groom was infertile. And boy, the aunties at the party were all in for the drama as the groom looked utterly humiliated and the bride was in tears. This is what you get for messing with the woman's true feelings. Man, I love my aunt. She's a badass. Am I wrong for wearing a wedding dress to a wedding? Okay, so like titles like these make me think you're like automatically the asshole because like everyone knows like duh, why would you wear a wedding dress to a wedding? But I feel like there's more we should dissect before we make that decision, right? So my friend, 20 female, and I, 19 male, have been friends for a few years and she recently got engaged. A week ago, I got a DM from her for a small costume party she was hosting as a celebration for her getting engaged. I asked if there was a theme and she said that there wasn't. I'm a cosplayer, so I had a lot of choices. I didn't want to rock up in anime cosplay, so I thought it would be funny to go to an engagement party as a corpse bride. I arrived at her house yesterday and everything seemed normal. A few people complimented my costume and I was having a lot of fun. After 10 minutes, my friend's fiance walked out in a black tuxedo and announced this was actually their wedding. Apparently, my friend saw a video of someone doing this and wanted to do the same. He asked us all to go to the backyard for the ceremony to begin. I went straight to him. I asked him if I should go home quickly and change my outfit and that I would get back before it started. He told me it was fine since I didn't know this was the wedding. I trusted him and followed everyone outside. They got married and everything seemed good. The reception was just in their house again, so everyone just walked back inside and picked up where they left off. I tried talking to my friend and celebrating with her, but she kept making excuses to not talk to me. I assumed it was just because she was tired from the big day and wanted some alone time. I didn't bother her after that, and the party soon ended. I got home and half an hour passed when my phone started getting notifications. I checked and it was my friend texting me. She was cussing me out and telling me how I ruined her wedding. I was really confused and asked what I did. That only made her more angry. She told me it was basic knowledge not to wear a wedding dress to a wedding. I reminded her I had no idea it was a wedding and that I asked her now husband if I should change and he said it was fine. She didn't respond, but I got a text from her husband. He asked why I would tell her he said it was fine. I told him he said it was fine. Then he said I should have changed anyways and it's my fault that the two are fighting over this. I tried texting her that I was sorry and if I had known I wouldn't have done it. I woke up today and saw her and her husband have blocked me on everything. So, am I the asshole for not changing out of the wedding dress when I found out it was actually a wedding? Edit, I'm a guy. I cosplayed the character Emily from The Corpse Bride and had blue paint all over it. I'm also Australian and never heard a costume party meaning fancy. Everyone was dressed up in funny costumes. Since they blocked me on everything, I didn't try to reach out since it would be a waste of effort. But I didn't block them back. If they wanted to talk, I was fine with it. 2 days ago, I was unblocked by my friend. She asked if we could call and talk about what happened and I agreed. She apologized for blowing up at me like she did, but also told me she was still upset. I was only made aware because of the comments and now heard that wearing wedding attire to anything wedding related is common sense. All I knew was the no way on the wedding day. Honestly, after people informed me, I felt awful and downright stupid. So I apologized back for not running it through her like I should have since I didn't know. I know lots of people were telling me to cut her off, but I've known her since I was 14, so I'm glad we can stay friends. Her husband, on the other hand, he had told her that he came up to me and asked me to change. And apparently I told him it didn't matter because I was already there, or something along those lines. She was crying a lot while telling me this. After she blew up at me and I told her the real story, she got pissed at her husband. The husband suggested both of them block me so the fight would stop. She agreed to it but was still upset by it all. Eventually, she started asking people who were at the wedding to see what happened. 3 people saw me walk up to him and heard me ask. This is where she learned that her husband lied to her. Again, a huge fight between the two. Turns out he's hated me ever since I met them 5 years ago. They had already been dating for a year beforehand. I became good friends with her, but not him. He felt as though I was trying to take his girlfriend. I don't know what I did to make him feel this way. I don't know why he'd wait 5 years, but he decided the day of his wedding was the best time to get rid of me. I'm not really sure what's going to happen to them in the future. She's staying at another friend's house until her and her husband are able to talk about it. I doubt I'll update anymore like, update, they're getting a divorce, because that feels insensitive. Again, thanks to everyone for all of the advice and points of views. It helped me so much. Am I wrong for leaving a wedding to go eat at McDonald's? Hi, I'm female 25. Recently, my colleague, 31 female, invited me to her wedding, which happened yesterday. I was super excited and happy for her. Just in case, I asked her if there were any guest fees. She said, no, you don't need to pay me anything. On the day itself, everything went well until the reception, dinner time. To my shock, I was presented with a wedding menu that had prices on it. For example, steak, $50. Everything was ridiculously expensive, including the vegetarian options. At first, I wanted to question her because, well, she lied to me that I didn't have to pay for anything, but it was her wedding and I didn't want to spoil her day by embarrassing her in front of everyone. However, the only other option was to simply not eat, as I didn't bring enough money for both a meal and a ride back. But this was completely unfavorable as I had skipped my lunch to save space for the wedding meal and was pretty hungry. Suddenly, I remembered that I saw a McDonald's about 5 minutes away from the hotel. As tactfully as I could, I asked the bride if I could make a quick stop to McDonald's as I didn't bring enough money for the reception meal. I said that I'd be back in time for the gift ceremony and cake. Why would you tell her? I would just go. Is that normal? I thought she'd agree, but to my horror, she got really upset. She said that she put in so much effort to get this Michelin star restaurant service, yet I still wasn't happy. That I was trying to bring her down by saying that I'd rather eat McDonald's. I'm not gonna lie, but McDonald's hits the spot when you're hungry. Alarmed, I said that I didn't mean it that way. I just didn't have the cash for it. She then scoffed and said, whose fault is that? Although I was trying to keep my anger, those words really pissed me off. So I told her, you were the one who lied that I didn't need to pay anything. Getting angry as well, she replied, what I meant was that there was no attendance fee. You literally assumed that you'd get a free 5-course dinner. Wow, you're cheaper than I thought. With a glare, she asked me to leave her wedding. I did, struck dumb and rather hurt. And on my way home, I grabbed a Big Mac, lol. Back at home, I told my boyfriend everything and asked if I was an asshole. He thought it was a funny story, but said I was an asshole. If I didn't have the money, I could always pay her back later. In his exact words, he said, you chose the wrong time to be stingy. My other friends agree as well, saying that it was not tactful of me for doing that at the wedding. And although she lied, I should have just brushed it off instead of dampening her happy spirits. After hearing their opinions, I feel quite guilty and embarrassed. However, that one little part of me still thinks that it's justified because 1, she lied to me, and 2, publicly humiliated me. Please help me out here. Am I the asshole? Am I wrong for letting my sister walk me down the aisle despite my fiancé and his family's objections? I, 23 female, was raised by my older half-sister, 32 female. I never met my dad and our mom OD'd when I was 10 and my sister was 19. My sister's dad was still in her life and was willing to support her, but not me. My sister chose to be my guardian and her father's family went low contact with her as a result. In order to raise me, she gave up a lot. Her relationship with her family, college, her 20s, and so much more. A few months ago, I got engaged and I told my sister that in addition to being my maid of honor, I also wanted her to be the one to walk me down the aisle. All my life, she's had to fulfill so many roles for me, big sister, mother, father, friend, that it only felt right that those multiple roles be honored on one of the biggest days of my life. My sister was ecstatic and so was I, but when I brought it up with my fiancé, he objected. My future in-laws are very traditional and my fiancé had always expected that his wedding would be a very traditional white wedding. He said that it was great that my sister was my maid of honor, but that her having 2 roles wasn't, and that it wasn't appropriate for her to walk me down the aisle since that's usually done by a man. Apparently, his family had assumed that my future father-in-law would be the one to give me away since I don't have any male relatives. I told him that I appreciate his father being willing to fill that role, but that the one who makes me the person I am is my sister, so it's right that she be the one to give me away. It turned into an argument that spread to my in-laws. My mother-in-law called me a few days ago to say although she understands how important my sister is to me, that it's also my fiancé's wedding and I shouldn't be putting my sister before him on his day. I definitely heard her on that, but this is still important to me. At this point, my sister has even said that she doesn't mind just being the maid of honor and that she doesn't want to turn my happy date into something stressful. So now it's just me holding out and being stubborn, but I really don't want to concede at this point. Am I being the asshole? Okay, so she has an edit to questions people had asked her. Are the in-laws contributing to the wedding? Yes. In fact, they're paying for about 75% of it since I'm still in school and don't have the money to put towards a wedding the scale that fiancé wanted. Does your fiancé have sisters? No, he has 2 younger brothers. Did he ask your sister for your hand? He did, actually. She also helped him custom design the engagement ring. She showed me their group text and at one point they spent 3 weeks trying to decide between 5 different diamonds.